Well, it's that time of month again, and it is now the last Dungeons and Divinity of the year. At the last Dungeons and Divinity of the decade as well. Even though this is only the third so far, I left it up to a Twitter poll, and you all voted on that you wanted to see just how terrible of a DM Yahweh really is. So, that is indeed what we are doing for this installment of Dungeons and Divinity. Now, Yahweh falls under a lot of tropes of a bad, terrible DM. For one, he is very much a killer DM. I mean, killing two players for rolling a natural one on a religion check is kind of going overboard, the way I see it. Yeah, you do portray the god Yahweh as very vengeful and spiteful, but really, just because of, a natural one, they use the wrong fire and they eat God knows how much radiant damage and instantly die. Um, and he is very, very much a railroader. And not only that, but very much like passive aggressive when it comes to railroading. Not even, or when he's not outright aggressive. I mean, suggesting that, to the other when the players take a look at what encounters you have laid out for them and decide they're a bit underleveled for it, you don't tell them to go piss off into the desert until they, until the everyone except for the people who wanted to go on with what you saw as the story dies. That's not a good way to get a campaign running. And yet people keep coming back and back to these campaigns. It's kind of ridiculous right here. And then, of course, there's, you get swallowed by a whale, but he takes you right to where I wanted you to go anyways. Sandbox be damned. um, so yeah, he's he's a killer DM. He railroads. He encourages murder hobory, but which isn't too bad. Everybody's got a little bit of a murder hobo in them, and it's very understandable that you want to let your players loose a little bit. But he's very arbitrary about it as well. And when he encourages murder hobory, dice help you if you don't go all the frickin' way with it, because he will punish you heavily if you don't. Or if you murder hobo in the wrong way. It's like, okay, I set up this encounter for you. All you gotta do is completely wipe out everyone in the city except for this one NPC and anyone in their household. Oh, and you gotta destroy all the stuff. Rule 1 of murder hobory is kill everyone. Rule 2 is take their stuff. If you punish if you encourage them to be murder hobos, don't punish them for being murder hobos. Or it's like, yeah, I told you to, just go wild with it, but you didn't kill everyone, so say goodbye to your crown. Davey here has been writing me some pretty pretty epically awesome songs that like in character for his Bard Rogue, and I'm really digging it. So I'm gonna kind of change the campaign and make it all about him becoming king now. It that I hope, and I'm sure that's just peachy with you, or else I could you know because let's see, your deck saves aren't that good, are they? Would be a real shame if I were to call for a deck save against lightning, or we could always go with the venomous snakes. That's a real crowd pleaser, and the magic item I designed to cure snakebite is not in this section of the campaign. So have fun with that while we get things arranged. It's very interesting new arc of the campaign we're going here. Very Game of Thrones, if you'd like, or and once again, it's very, and the thing is, right, it all of these GM sins wouldn't be too bad if they weren't handled so blatantly arbitrarily. Like, you could get away with all kinds of stuff if you just suck up to, if you happen to be the DM's favorite at the time. But I think the worst example of DM dickery that YHWH has accomplished would be the DMPC, because I took another look at the first half of the new arcs, the new campaign, and I really have to say the Christ figure is obviously a DMPC. I mean, he's such a Mary Sue. He gets, he's practically perfect, and only really shows human flaws like anger when he's like showing off to show how awesome and cool he is, flipping over tables in the temple, casting blight, and you've got a 20th level spellcaster in a party full of just schmuck, full of level 1 commoners who tell me that's not like everything wrong about a DMPC that you can think of right there is, he's practically running the party. No, he's not practically running the party. He is running the party. And then also you go and make him, and you go and let him become a lich. Something that obviously you wouldn't let any other player get away with. But no. And also, he's, this Christ, this DMPC that you have, he's the only other character that you allow to play an Aasimar. An angelic being. God spawn. Or perhaps a, what's the word? Starts with an N. Nephilim. That's the word. That's the campaign-specific term that I was thinking of. Yeah, remember when you're like, okay, I've got this new campaign all set up. Then everyone but one person shows up to play, and you pass the one human the note that says, yeah, you might want to build a boat. And then, he gets that, you run most of a session. He's passing you notes, you're just sitting back running it for all these other Asimar who, get off being, murder hobos, and you don't care because, you're not even, it's like a really good improv session or whatever, but you don't care because it didn't make it into your campaign notes, because you obviously just let them do whatever the fuck they wanted. And then you ended the session with, okay, water falls, everyone but Noah dies. We're gonna start off next week with all of you guys coming back with human characters this time, because I decided that I didn't that, there were a little too many Asimar at the table, so I'm just wiping the entire campaign setting free, complete clean slate, except for Noah here and his Noah's PC and his NPC family. Oh, don't worry, the land animals are okay. He built a TARDIS arc. He built an Ark of Holding. Yeah, those levels in Artificer were a great idea, Noah. But, so, Yahweh, and yes, all of the, you do have to do a lot of molding and sculpting to make some of these some of these modules actually playable. Didn't keep very good notes for your campaign setting before publishing it, did you, Yahweh? No. But that being, that aside, that's an amateur move. I can kind of forgive that, but I can, just reading through your campaign notes, and if you're watching this, go ahead, leave a comment below, try and defend yourself, with a comment below. Anyone else who agrees with me can go ahead, like, share, subscribe, what have you. But seriously, Yahweh, someone needs to hold an intervention for you or whatever, because you show all the hallmarks of being one of the, if not the worst dungeon masters to ever run a game. And that is saying something. I mean, I've watched some YouTube videos of some pretty bad horror stories, and outside of actually having the cops called on you while running a session, who knows, maybe that happened, maybe that didn't. All we have are your rather sparse and somewhat shitty campaign notes to go on. And so can't really tell much about what's going on behind the scenes. But what I do see in here is a lot of really arbitrary rulings and arbitrary punishments, potentially just because you felt like it. I mean, this may be like an old school versus new school kind of thing, but this is a problem. This is a problem, Yahweh. You really, giving a human, giving a king legendary resistances just because you want to have an excuse to let one of your players go full murder hobo, full cleric murder hobo. Because no, seriously, there's murder hobos, then there's caster wizard hobos, which we saw with the Kings and Prophets campaign arc that I covered last month. And then you have cleric hobos, which just really amps up the intense, like, the I don't give a shittery or whatever. And, or, a guy tries to steady, a holy relic to keep it safe. But you don't like that. You don't like the fact that he touched the relic. So you don't give him a save or anything. You just kill him. You just go, "Oh yeah, yeah, your character's dead. I'm going to need you to roll up a new one." Or better yet, you get Davy, the bard, the bard assassin, who's been on your side the entire time, who's been after your own heart, to borrow your phrasing, and who you fill a book of your campaign notes with all the poetry he wrote about you, and you say, "Oh yeah, all that murder hobery you did earlier in the campaign, yeah, I'm not gonna let you and I know you really, really wanted to build this awesome temple, but I'm not gonna let you do it because you kind of murdered a bunch of people that I told you to murder." And that right there is a summation of your problems. You're like, I can kind of get heavy-handedness as a DM style. I can get the old school confrontational, it's the DM against the players, the war gamer kind of mentality. I can get that. Or like, tying a barbarian's rage to his paladin oath just because you let him, you have him take a couple levels of paladin for the smites. But then when he fails his oath, when he breaks his oath, instead of just taking away his power, paladin powers, you take away his barbarian levels as well. That's just fucked up. And so what I'm going to say, I'm going to end this, Yahweh, and say, it's not just any one of these can be worked around. Some of them are very much a style difference. I get that. But altogether, it's really fucked up. And Yahweh, if you are watching this video, I'd welcome any kind of comments that you'd like to throw in the description below. Or, not the description, the comments section. But I'm getting to the point where I'm just repeating myself. And I mean, consider this an intervention, and there's only one thing left that I have to say to you, and that's indoctrination is a hell of a drug.